Hello, I'm Dr. Ivor and welcome to another video. And this is last week's FIA manufacturers. And we've got two races for you here today. First one's a little bit shorter than the second. Not a lot going on in the first one, but still a little bit of decent racing happening. So I'll show you that as well. The second one's where all the action happens though, so that one's one to stay for. As we just lining up on the grid here, qualified in 6th place here as our beautiful Doom livery Lexus. And yeah, this should be a good one. Dragon Trail Gardens in Group 3 cars. Not my favourite track. I'm okay around here, but you know, the Lexus also not the best car around here, I don't think. But you know, we'll see what happens, see what we can do. Lots of places to be made up from 6th place, right in the thick of it. Could get messy, could not. Let's see how it goes. As we just continue winding down the grid here before the lights go out. Standard livery Ferrari there, looks beautiful in the plain red. And an absolutely crazy livery there from well, that guy in the Merc. So as we come to the end of the grid lineup, we're about to go lights out and hopefully we get away. No traction control needed on the start. Just checking all of our equipment is correct. Flicking the brake bias to 3, just save those front tyres a little more. And we're starting this race on medium tyres. And this was the first race of the night, so I was kind of completely blind on the strat. I had done about half hour's practice beforehand though, just to get used to the track in this car. So we'll see how that pays off for me. So as we get underway here, we are immediately under attack from Fangster behind. But we are keeping the gap close to the guys ahead as well, as we just make sure Fangster can't go around the outside there. I don't think that was a very harsh move. He saw me coming across slowly. But it becomes very quickly apparent to me that he is on on soft tyres, so I just yield the space, let him go, tuck into the slipstream as best I can, and hopefully he can drag me forward on my medium stint. Because I am aiming for less time loss at this point, because I'm on a medium tyre. It's the slower one of the lot. Well, not the slowest, because all 3 tyre compounds are mandatory in this race, so we've got to use the softs, mediums and hards. And we started losing to Fangster there, so we skip ahead to lap 5, because that entire stint was just watching Fangster get smaller. So as we come into lap 6 here, we've got 5th and 4th up ahead, and this is where the mediums started to come into their own. Started to close the gap up. So we're just trying to reel these guys in and see if we can make something happen. There is a yellow flag up ahead. Somebody has binned it. It is Padsasa in the Toyota Supra. He's got it all wrong going up what we should refer to as the horseshoe. I like that name for those set of corners. So we are right on the back of Padsasa here. And being as he's spun out and he'll be on soft tyres, his tyres will be dying quite rapidly now. So we've got to run. He does go defensive. We'll move to the outside. We'll just back out of it. Just don't want to lose too much time. It would have been quite a forced move down into here, and I don't like this section. Very easy to get wrong. Very bouncy on the curbs. So just want to keep it smooth and as fast as possible. So we come into the final bend, really nice bend if you can get that right. And a couple of people into the pits, Epic Toby, Pad Sasa and Touche Penalt. I can't quite read that. But they come in off the mediums and both change to hards. I'm going to stay out on the mediums because they're feeling alright for me right now, and I am actually making time on the guys ahead. But we will see how this race progresses in a little bit. So Fangster very much in our sights again, and just hold this, keep the pace up. His tyres will be going off, he's definitely on the softs, and ours are still pretty solid, still getting decent pace out of these mediums, and this is the point where the mediums overlap the softs, so I am actually slightly faster than the guys on the worn softs at this point. So we keep pressing forward, and that gap is coming right down. We're not quite in the slip yet, but we've definitely made some progress. As we come into the tricky downhill section, just keep it nice and smooth. Just hit that bump, and that is why I don't like that section. All that time we made up undone in one turn. And unfortunately that's the way those turns tend to go for me. I'm not very good at getting that bounce right. So we stay out on the mediums for another lap, and the race going pretty well so far. We haven't lost too much. It's hard to tell how much we've gained or lost at this point. Hopefully it will come good for us in the end. As we come up for the horseshoe, which is my favourite set of turns on this track. It is absolutely beautiful if you get it right. You get this, just slowly flick down through the gearbox, get on the power nice and early for that last apex. It is just a dream to get right. Which is another reason why I don't really like this track, because you have a really beautiful corner like that, and then you've got that really nasty downhill section, which comes a lot down to luck rather than skill, in my opinion. And that takes away from the overall value of a track for me. If you have too much luck on the bounce of certain curbs, it's kind of annoying because you want to be consistent, and you know, if a section comes down to luck, consistency is hard to manage. I'm not saying it's impossible to get consistent through there. There are definitely people that can, but not for me. So this track, not the best in my opinion. But we have closed that gap to Fangster massively, and we've stayed out quite a long time on these mediums as well. So that gap actually coming down to the point where we can make a move. We throw it up the inside, but Fangster's got the cut back on us. Respect shown from both drivers there. Very nice to see that. He left me space on the outside, I left him space on the inside, and that is how a good overtaking attempt and defence should look. So we do get the move done. We had the inside for the horseshoe. A few cars binning it there, the back of the grid having a nightmare as we come up into the S's. Well, what I call the S's, they're not really S's, but the sequential turns is probably a better word for it. So we've definitely made the move stick on Fangster. He's not got the pace on those tyres anymore. He is getting all wiggly in the rear view mirror, and that move is secure. And we are on lap 9 of these tyres, and I believe we are going to come into the pits at the end of this lap. Getting a nice run through the downhill section. That's about as good as I can make it work. And the guy in first running a 9-lap stint on softs. That is spectacular. Spectacular tyre management from that guy. ESB PB Ascondi. But we're going to go on to our hards here, because I want to finish strong on the softs. So we are probably going to end up going backwards. And we do come out with touch penalty, touch penalty, R4N. And we're going to let him go, because I know he's on better tyres than we are. I mean, I did see him change to the hards, so even if we're on the same tyres, his are all nice and warmed up. So I thought following him is a better idea than trying to defend and holding us both up. And it's working quite well, because we are sticking with that slip fairly well, which means we are gaining a bit of speed. We have now lost the slip, but any toe is good for any amount of time. We do gain overall in the long run. So we are just about losing touch with him right now, and I think we are going to skip forward in a second. Or maybe, no, I think this is the lap. One on the hard. I think I only did one on the hards. I might have done two on the hards, so let's see. Oh no, we skipped forward to lap 12, there we go. So we come in off the hards, did 2 laps on those. And we are going to go for the softs, and we're going to have to run an 8-lap stint here on the softs. As we come out of the pits in 4th place. So we are moving forward at this point in time. The strat that I guessed at the beginning of the thing, at the start of the race, is paying off, and hopefully it will continue to till the end. So we skipped forward a few laps because I was in clean air and just lapping on my own. So we put a couple of laps in. And we are moving on now to come into the horseshoe once again, and we are sort of holding our position here, not making any moves, and we just dip a tyre and go a bit wide and absolutely bin it. And then in our haste to get back on track, we do a 180. And unfortunately that is going to screw our strategy, screw our race. I've spun up the rears something awful, which means my rear tyres have lost a lot of life, and they are going to go off faster than they normally would now. So we get back on track, we carry on, and again we found ourselves in clean air for a few laps, so I skip forward to lap number 19, and we are closing the gap up to 7th and 6th. Melton Spurs up ahead of us, a friend of mine who we race in a league together. He's a very quick guy. He did actually feature in a Super GT race a week or so ago. So my goal here would be to catch up to Melton. Being as I was holding a position ahead beforehand, that's what I'm thinking of right now. And that gap is coming down to 7th place. We are working on it. We do have fairly worn softs at this point though, so it's going to be very hard to make something stick and get that. We really want to be in that slipstream. And unfortunately at the moment we are a little bit too far away from it. We get a really nice run down the hill and just dip a wheel a little bit wide, which wrecks our run down the hill. We were closing the gap, but it's now opened up by a few tenths, and coming into the final lap, that is not what we want. So a lot of the possibility of this race has kind of died. We are still out in no man's land really. They're so close but just too far away to do anything. We've gained another couple of tenths again. See, without that little mistake at the end of lap 19, could possibly have closed this gap. We've got in the slip and now I'm pushing, the tyres are dying, it's all going a bit wide. It kind of went downhill, this race got away from me a bit. But there we go, first race of the night. To be bringing home 8th, I mean it's an AS lobby, so it's a reasonably high standard. We're a little way off the A+ boys at this point, but an 8th place would be kind of nice. It's in the top 10. Can't be unhappy with being in the top 10 really. So let's see if we can not stitch this up anymore towards the end. Come down the hill for the final time. Again, getting a decent run down there. Getting on the power nice and early. And once again, just dipping that wheel over that curb. Gotta stop doing that. That's costing too much time. That is down to the worn soft tyres that I am trying to push to their limit. And failing. And we got a yellow flag up ahead, somebody spins across the line, and Melton Spurs gets an hour penalty, or a minute penalty, and I don't think he used all 3 sets of tyres, unfortunately, which cost him a couple of places. So we gain a 7th by default. And really that race could have been better, but we move on. We've learned a lot from the first outing, so let's see what we can do with the second outing. 7th place confirmed, and the next final will begin. So once again lined up on the grid. This time we managed to qualify in 5th place, and I think this lobby was a little, well you'll see how this race goes. BFRJ is going to feature in this, and you can be the judge of who was doing what. But yeah, we're going to skip the rest of the grid rundown because we've done one of those. So we get this race underway. You can see BFRJ trying to warm up his tyres there. Now that immediately tells me that he is on a harder compound. And this race we have started on the softs. I wasn't 100% sure, maybe he was just warming up his softs. But what gave it away was coming up this horseshoe for the first time. The amount he brakes, the amount he can't get on the accelerator, I am convinced at this point he is on medium tyres. Which is fair enough, as a good starting strat, it worked for me last race, and it's not a bad thing. But because I've realised he is on medium tyres, I'm going to hold my speed through here, and I know full well I'm going to outbrake him. Which I do, and I keep this apex as tight as possible. There is no contact there. None whatsoever. So we move on, and BFRJ now starts looking very racy, and he starts flashing his lights, and then a very violent move for an overtake. And maybe I should have defended that, but to be honest, I knew he was on harder compound. He should have known I was on a softer compound. All that's done is cost us both time to the leader. You tell me in the comments whether you think he was in the right there, or maybe it just a racing move, like fair enough if it was. And he moves defensive, so I go around the outside, a little bit wide, but at this point it really annoyed me. I don't think that what he did was the right move. I think he should have slotted in behind, and we both would have gained more time to the guys ahead. He could have used my slipstream and I wouldn't have lost 2 places. But we continue, so we're now down into 6th place, and the race continues, and T-Rex up in front is making a decent gap and running away with the Italian in second. And once again, BFRJ going defensive against a guy that is clearly on a softer compound of tyre. I think these are pointless defences, and he's just holding up the pack and making the gaps to the leaders bigger than they need to be. And he gets very side by side going down the S's, which is slowing everyone down. But we continue on. He's driving at decent pace. I'm not taking away the speed of the guy. But look at the difference between the mediums and the softs through that corner. He could just be hanging on into the toe, getting dragged along. But oh well. So I'm angry at this point in the race, and I went for a move there. I made contact. That I hold my hands up to. That was completely my fault. It was a late lunge. Didn't do it very cleanly. Normally I would give the place back here, but because I got a 1 second penalty, I decided to carry on, and he's going to get his place back anyway. Because he's so close to me, it doesn't really make any difference if I carry on to the penalty line. But yeah, that one was on me. But we continue anyway. I am a little bit flustered at this point, and I'm driving quite aggressively, which is not normally my style. But it very much bugs me when people don't know how to play ball and use racecraft to their advantage. And to everybody's advantage. Unfortunately, we do find ourselves back behind BFRJ, and I'm not going to lie, it did make me happy to see that he's got a 0.5 second penalty. And we have been overtaken by Sober Motorsport as well, and we are on lap 3 of our soft tyres. Now, we were going to go for a different strat in this race. We were going to go soft, and BFRJ he's ghosted out, and he slowly moves across into our path, and you're going slower than me, you're going to make us hit you. He then flashes me down this straight like that was my fault. So yeah, I'm not sure what this guy's on, but he was really bugging me. It's just not impressed with the racecraft at all, to be honest. But that's enough complaining about this guy. So our strategy in this one was soft, medium, hard, and do very short stints on the medium and hards. I wanted to see how that would work overall. Unfortunately, because our first soft stint has been wrecked so much by having to follow this guy, we kind of lost a lot of time to the leaders by this point in the race. And this is the silly thing about silly fights. And the other thing about this is you're going to see by the end of this race, BFRJ ends up quite far up the board. He ends up, I believe, on the podium. So we're not even racing at this point. Like, he's picked a fight for no reason. And we've both lost time because he ended up third. He could have ended up first had he not picked this fight. When you're on different compounds, it makes no sense to me. Yeah, so we get the move done. He's flashing his lights again. He's just I don't even know what, I can't even put into words the stress of this guy. But we try and make some gains onto Sober Motorsport. We have made the move stick on BFRJ at this point, so hopefully he can no longer interfere with our soft stint. We continue on up the road, and unfortunately we're chasing a 4C here, and the 4C handles very well. This is very much a handling track in my opinion. So it's very hard to close the gap on that. we are coming to the end of our first soft stint as well. So we are going to jump into the pits and we are going to get another set of softs on. Sorry, no, we don't jump into the pits this lap. BFRJ goes into the pits and you can see he was on medium tyres. So, yeah, poor choices, I think. But let me know what you think. Tell me in the comments if I've complained far too much about this. So we are once again in a bit of a no man's land. 1.7 to the guys ahead and 1.7 to the guys behind. So little bit of a stalemate here. Nothing gained, nothing lost, but we continue making progress. We are getting the gap in front down a little bit here. It's now 1.4, so that 4C is struggling a little bit. Maybe the tyres are going a bit. Although on the exit of that turn, no, it's still 1.4. So yeah, it is coming down. We are making progress, and you know, the softs do well around here. I like the softs in this car. The mediums and the hards a lot harder to manage. Especially on the exit of that turn, I find that really tricky, and the softs help a lot. So we duck into the pits, and we are going for another stint of softs. As we come out of the pits, a lot of people in the pits there, a couple on mediums, a couple on hards. We come out behind White Tiger, and being as we are on fresh softs, we should close up to him very quickly. As we come into the horseshoe turn, we massively close that gap. Get on the power nice and early. And we're going to make a move around the outside. Very easy corner to do this on because you have the inside for the next one. It's a very clean move, little tiny bit of contact, but Rubbin's racing, eh? We skip ahead to lap 8 as a few more people come out of the pits. We are still on our softs here, and Sober Motorsport, the guy in the 4C we were hunting down previously, we have closed the gap to. So we got a little bit of an undercut on him there, and hopefully we can now make some moves and get past it. As we get a bit of a better run out of there, but he closes the gap around the outside, very smart. And we carry a little bit more speed through here as well. Nothing's going to open up though. We didn't close the gap enough to send it up the inside, so we're just going to tuck in the slipstream and stay behind for a minute. And we do again have the run on him down here. That 4C really struggles in a straight line. As we look for the move around the outside, it's not going to happen. It's a very tricky place to overtake in my opinion, and the 4C handling that downhill section very nicely. But we get a very nice exit out of this corner, and that gap is coming down. We've got a good run, we've got the slipstream, there's a move into this corner. We hit the brakes where we should, keep it nice and tight, get on the power a little bit earlier, tuck it up, we'll leave him space on the outside, just carries a little bit more speed through the exit. Very nicely defended by Sober Motorsport. Very good battle to be in. I had a lot of fun driving against this guy. This was some examples of some classy racing. As he gets a little bit wide, and I'm not sure what happened to me there. I think I might have got a little bit loose. So I just nudge into the back of him, but no harm, no foul. He is now indicating to the right. I'm a little bit far back for this move, but because I know he's going to leave me the space, I can send it a little bit. And unfortunately he does get a better run out than me, but we have got the power to solidify the move. We have got the inside for this thing, and I believe he does back out a little bit to that's across. And there we go, move done. Let's see an example of very clever racing. You can see eventually I had the pace on him. Either I have better tyres or just the pace in general. So he let me past. Clever. Didn't lose any time, gained a bit of slipstream. So we come into the pits on lap 12. Nothing happened after I passed Sober Motorsport. It was a bit of boring lapping. So we come back out of the pits in 7th, and we are once again behind White Tiger, who is on a different tyre strap than me, and we are now on to our medium stint. And I believe we are running this until the final lap. So these mediums going to be a bit slow out of the gate, but they should come into their own midway through this stint. And we are being chased once again by BFRJ. And hopefully we can hold him off. He is, I believe, on a harder compound again, because through those S's I gained a fair amount of time, which suggests he is on a harder compound. It's very hard to keep pace through winding turns like that when you are on a hard compound of tyre. You just don't have the grip. The gap to White Tiger, I believe, is coming down, but it is coming down very slowly as we move through the downhill section, getting into a rhythm on these mediums, not pushing them too hard. They do have a pretty good grip when they're fresh. Only a little bit off of the softs really, and guys ahead come into the pits, and then I found myself in clean air, so I skipped forward. Another couple of guys coming into the pits on lap 15, and Stagger EU comes out ahead, but we are on medium tyres. He is on the soft tyre, and you are going to watch him drive away. There's nothing we can really do about that. We've got a 5-second gap to the guys behind. This is where my focus is at this point, because the pit stop here is about 6 to 7 seconds roughly. So we really need a 7-second gap to be safe from the guys behind. So the pace, the aim now is to pick up the pace. I was hoping to get into Stagger EU's slipstream for a little while, but I wasn't quite close enough. So we skip ahead to lap 19 here. We were just on our own for a few laps. There's a little bit of argy-bargy, well, not argy-bargy, a little bit of wrestling going on with the guys up ahead. Nice overtake by the guy in 3rd. And we are closing the gap to 4th. His tyres must have gone off a cliff, because that gap is coming down. But unfortunately we haven't run our hards yet, so we are about to come into pits, and the gap behind has got smaller, not bigger, unfortunately. So we are all in the pits, all on our mediums, all about to hit hards. And this is my point. BFRJ, if you look, is now up in 3rd place. Had he played ball at the beginning of the race, I believe he would have been fighting for 1st. So I think he has done himself a disservice more than he has done me a disservice. But we have come out of the pits in a big fight of hard tyres. Everybody's on their hards, everybody's in a pack. So can we make something happen here before the line? This is the last lap, so it's all or nothing. Sober Motorsport running a great race. He is back out in front of us. this is the battle for 6th. Although 7th and 6th are getting away from Sober Motorsport very slightly. And that 4C not going to be able to catch up with that Aston, I don't think, down this straight. But we are gaining on Sober Motorsport. So can we make something happen here? I'll make my intentions very clear. I'm not going to dive him into this, but he still chooses to go defensive. And that gives us a very nice exit out of here. And we're going to throw it up the inside. We have the line, we have the inside. Just going to keep it nice and tight. Don't jump the gun on the throttle. Very slightly wide, but it's enough. We have secured 8th place in our final race in the FIA. So, tell me what you think of the racing. It's, yeah, I think that could have been a lot better. I think we should have been fighting for 4th or 5th rather than 8th, but there you go. Doesn't always go to plan. That's racing. And, yeah, thank you all for watching. Please like and subscribe if you're enjoying the content. And you should see a lot more content from me very soon. Take care, guys. It's been emotional.